Coding challenge, 28th of November, intermediate. Let's see what you did. Question number 1, get mean value, right? So there was a classic question where you were expected to use the rest operator like Tom did here. So is this, when we talk about rest operator, is this the gather or the spread operator?
Spread.
Spread, correct, because we take array and we spread the values, right, into a comma-separated list of arguments. That's cool. So I'm expecting everybody to do the same thing. So she got an unnecessary penalty here, right, because of this space before the semicolon, but apart from that, yeah, so everyone did that. Was very easy, right? Well, it was just to prove that you understood how to use the rest operator. Cool. Question number 2. This is the one I'm going to do because just some of you managed to solve it, right? So let me solve it, and then we'll see what you did. We'll compare the solutions, right? So I'll skip the first one. I'm going to zoom it a bit to help with the readability. Hopefully, we'll get the cinema screen shortly to improve visibility, right? But for now, so we have a list of characters, right? So what we know is that so we want to find the top character, right? How do we know the top character? Because each character has a list of scores, so I believe we have to get the average, and then the one with the highest average will be the top character, right? Something like that. So how to do that? We can do return characters. So we have an array, right? We have an array, and the first thing I would like to do is I would like to have another array of the same size, but replacing scores with the average score. So how do you transform an array into another array with the same size? Map, thank you, right? Tell me the argument name. Character, correct. So then, so let's return, first of all, the name. We want to keep the name as it is, right? Because we'll need it later on. So name equals character.name. And then that's a complicated bit. We got character.scores with a list of scores, but in reality, we just want to get the average score, right? So to solve this problem, I'm going to create a new function called getAverageScore. So that receives a list of scores, and it will tell us the average. How do we do that? You tell me.
Reduce.
Scores.reduce, argument's name? Total, right? We can do that, right? We can do total and then score. So then we can what? So this will give us the total, right? You want to add all the values. Can we do it inline? Can we calculate the average in one go?
If we put 0.
Correct. So we can do that, right? Instead of total, I'm going to rename that to average, because then I'm explaining my colleagues that the average will be in that variable, right? So then what we put here, return what? Average plus score divided by what? Scores.length. That's correct. That's correct, right? So this is the way you can easily calculate the average. So you get in the scores, you get 1, 3, and 7. Oh, sorry, that's a bad example. 1, 3, and 5. The average will be 3, right? Because we'll be dividing. If we have 1, 3, and 5, right? Tell me what's the first average value? Alex? 0. That's correct. What's the first score? 1. Correct. What's the scores of length?
3.
Correct. So after the first iteration, the average is a third. Correct. Correct. Iteration number 2. What's the average? Third. Why 1? Who said 1? Gin. Why 1? Right. So and after the first iteration, the average was 1/3. So because we are returning it, on the second iteration, average is 1/3. What's the score? 3. Correct. And what's the scores of length?
3.
What's the result of dividing 3 by 3?
1.
Correct. So what are we returning after the first iteration? 4/3, correct. Iteration number 3, what's average? 4/3, what's the score? 5, correct. What's the score of length? Correct. What's the result of dividing 5 by 3?
3, 1 2/3.
Fi-
1.66.
Correct. So we got 4/3 plus 5/3.
9.
Correct. 4/3 plus 5/3 is 9/3, which is the same as 3 divided by 1, which is the same as 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
If you disagree on that, I cannot argue that, right? So I respect every opinion. Well, I don't respect that. If you disagree, I don't respect that. Anyway, this is going a bit off topic. So yeah, so the get average score will give us the average, right? So then, because we already have this function in place, can we do that? Can we do score get average score character dot scores? Can we do that? You're not convinced, eh? Where's the issue? Is there any issue here? Correct, there is a typo, right? So that's the good thing about modern editors. So it could be hard to see in the projector, but you can probably see that name is blue, but the score is red. Why is red? Because there is a typo here, right? This is an object. So then that's not correct. So after mapping, we have a new array of how many elements? 3, correct. Which properties do we have in each element?
The name and the average score.
Correct, name and average score. Then, now it's easier to find the top one, right? So what will you do next? What? Sorry, too many people. Ben, what did you say? The highest. How do you get the highest? Short. I like that. Short what? Marta? Average. A. Average B. What do you think about these naming conventions? Do you think average A and average B are good names for these variables or not, and why? Again? Score A, score B. No, wrong. I mean, it will work, but to me, this is a horrible naming convention.
You're still sorting the person.
Correct. We're still sorting people, right? So if you put average, it looks like you are comparing numbers, right? You're comparing two numbers, but that's not true. Look at what we got. So we're still comparing characters. Correct. Correct. We can put here character A and character B. So even though you think these kind of things are a bit unnecessary, so first of all, it helps readability, it helps you to improve accuracy, because if you put average here, after 5 minutes, you will think this was a number, you'll try to do things and you'll fail, right? It's good to think about naming conventions. Right, and then what? Return what? Character B minus character A. Will this work, yes or no, and why? The highest value. Wrong?
No, it's all for it. We have to go into, so we have to hit the band. Dots.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Correct. Character B. What's character B? Is it an array? Is it an object? Is it a string? A function? What's character B? It's an object. That's correct. Interestingly, I lost my mouse, my cursor. What is it? Ah, I found it. Cool. So character B, this is an object, right? Which property do we want to check out of the character B? The name. The name or the score? The score, right? We don't care about the name of the character for now. Can we do that? Can we do that? Alex is smiling, right? But Alex is wrong. I mean, you can do it, but it won't work, right? So what is the sort returning now?
Nothing.
Nothing. Why, Eugene?
You need the round brackets.
Correct.
instead of
Correct.
curly.
Remember, if you use curly brackets, Alex, you're expecting to explicitly put a return statement. However, you can do that, right? If you remove the curly brackets, you do that, right? The parentheses are not even necessary. You can get rid of the parentheses. But to me, I find this syntax a bit dodgy, to be honest. This is just a personal thing, right? Because you have the arrow function, and then what? There is nothing. It's like an if else without parentheses. It's a bit, right? At least if you put the parentheses, you are clearly delimiting the scope of that callback function. Okay? Anything else? We want the name. Correct. Can we do that? Yes? Yes? Wrong. Wrong. Massively wrong. So what sort returns? Correct. Correct. Sort returns an array, a sorted, hopefully, array of characters.
Zero index.
Correct. We want the top one. Right, Alex? Cool. So then what we do here? 0, right? I mean, obviously, well, let's see if it works. Will this work? Can anyone spot any issue?
You've got the curly braces on the reduced.
We got the curly braces on the reduce. Where? Here. This one?
Scores, but reduce average score.
But that should be fine. I mean, we can simplify that if you want, right? So we can get rid of the curly brackets.
Because you have a return, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if that feels a bit shorter, that's fine. We can do that. But apart from that, I think that's okay, right? Unless I miss something. Let's do something. If I think that's correct, but you think it's wrong, and you are right and I'm wrong, you'll get 5 extra points on the board challenge, right? So please pay attention to anything that I could be missing, because it will give you lots of points. Right, I think that's correct, so let's try it. Oh, that's wrong, right? You see? It's saying, I know why. Can anyone see what the problem
What
is?
does it say?
I'll show you. You don't get any points, but anyone, you should be proud of yourself. So you say, yeah. So it says, unexpected token, semicolon. There is a semicolon that is not correct. Score.length. Yeah, so when you do that, when you use parentheses, this is supposed to be an expression that you return. Because of that, it's illegal to put a semicolon. Right? You'll have the same issue here. This will fail as well. So now it works. Any question? Any way to improve it? Not really? I mean, I know some of you prefer to have variables. That's fine. If you find this syntax a bit messy, .map, .sort, blah, 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 you know, you can change that. I mean, we can, if I were you, I would change that a bit. So for example, I will put that in a new line, just about, for readability purposes, right? I will do something like that. So then now, it's easier to follow the list of actions, right? So we got map, and then we got sort, and these two are aligned. And also this return statement may be a bit unnecessary, so we can do the same trick again with the parentheses and removing to get rid of the semicolon. No, sorry, this one goes there, and then we close it. Yeah, and then probably we can move this here. We can move this one there as well. So we can, oops, that's too much, right? We can do something like that. Will this work? Yes. So to me, this is a bit cleaner, right? Map, and then map returns a new object, and then sort compares, and then we get the first one and then the name, right? If you still find this syntax a bit complicated, we can create a few variables, right? So we can create a variable, let, I don't know, average characters, if that makes any sense. Characters equals get average characters. That could be a bit too much, actually. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. But we can do return, sorry, let sorted characters equals get sorted characters. Right, so then we can create a new function. So remember to create as many functions as possible, generally speaking, because that will help readability and that will help debugging as well. So then that function, we can do all these things, right? Oops. Right, so then we can just do that. So then it's more obvious what we want to do, right? So first you get the array of sorted characters, and then you take the first one and return the name. Right, now it doesn't work, right? Why? Because we are not returning anything. That may help. That helps, definitely. Any question? No? Okay, so let's see what you did here. So Tom, he did pretty much the same thing, right? I like that. I like he created a get a score function. That helps me a lot to understand what he did. If instead of doing that, he would have inlined everything in the function. That would be a nightmare, right? But just by doing this utility, it definitely helps to understand that. However, he got some penalties here. Can anyone spot the penalties? Elegance. What's wrong with elegance?
Spaces.
Where?
The character for the curly brace.
Here. Correct. One penalty.
Further down is also
Two penalties. What else?
indenting there.
That's a big one. 3 penalties. What else? Semicolon. This semicolon. 5 penalties. Correct. More penalties here. Space. 6 penalties. Right? That's a bit. To me, there's another penalty. Characters don't score. Well, okay, that could be on the limit, but fine, let's leave it. Another semicolon missing. 8 penalties. A space here. 9 penalties. Right? So these kind of things should. Because that makes a difference between an elegant code and not that elegant piece of code, right? Also, not a penalty strictly speaking, but you could do that in one line, right? Using an arrow function. Cool. But that's good. And then we got Marta. So Marta, pretty much the same thing, right? It's the same strategy. I like it. Get average score, right? So she's even more explicit than Tom, because Tom said get the score, but what get the score? The max, the mean, but Marta said get the average. So it's helping me a bit more, right? I prefer that. So she gets sorted. This is what we did. That's good. That's fine. And then she gets the first name. I think this is very readable. I really like that. And then elegance penalties. Which ones? No one? Really?
Semicolon.
Wait. Sorry, Victor. So Alex, you talk first. Which one?
One space before the last zero.
Here? Later? Where is later? Here?
The last.
Zero at the end.
At the end?
Reduce.
Reduce? Here? Here? Where is the space? I can.
Before the zero.
Before the zero. Oh, yeah, missing. Oh, sorry. Yeah, before the zero. Yes, that's correct. This is 1. And then Victor, I think you were mentioning
Semicolon first line
semicolon first line. Semicolon first line.
is missing.
The first line.
As in, second line, sorry.
Second line.
You're changing.
No, wrong.
Oh, yes,
Wrong.
sorry.
Wrong. So that's correct.
Yeah, that's correct.
More penalties here. So you mentioned 1. There are at least 3 more.
Get average scores are.
The get average correct. Look, why you did that? That's super exotic, right? So see, I did a space after the second get average score. Don't do that, right? Just keep it. Yes, that's a horrible excuse, Marta. I know you can find a better excuse, right? So don't do that. Right. What else? There is still another typo. Not typo. Another elegance penalty. No one? Get average score somewhere towards the end?
Semicolon.
Yes, correct. We don't have any semicolon here, and we don't have any semicolon there either. Right, so let's try to be consistent. Again, if you are super convinced semicolons are not necessary, you could not use them, right? But if we use them randomly, it's clearly wrong, right? So we should be consistent. My suggestion is just put the semicolons everywhere. Cool. And I think that's it regarding this question. Let's quickly review others. So find last. We want to we reviewed that, I think, on Tuesday. We want to find the last word that starts with capitals, right? So Tom. So Tom, he created a variable split with double T, don't know why. And then he reversed it. And then he find the first one with capital. Yeah, I think that. I like it. That's really elegant, ignoring the penalties as well, Tom. But I like it. It's really good. And then Yi, so she did the same thing, but she created a variable first, right? Which is still fine. That's absolutely fine. And Marta, wow. So you see, I find Marta's code particularly complex to understand. And because of, for example, these kind of things, right? So that shouldn't be indented because we're comparing A and B. So they're equally important. They are not nested. They're just 2 expressions, right? But apart from that, that's the same thing. The main difference is, so you can see 2 approaches. So Marta is sorting, no, it's not sorting, sorry. It's trying to filtering the words in capital, and then she returns the last one, right? Which in my opinion is a bit more complicated because filter makes sense if you want to report, if you're expecting to return multiple results. For example, give me all the words in capitals. That makes sense. You want to return more than one. But if you want to return just one, filter is a bit unnecessary, right? Look at, for example, what Tom did. Tom used find because we just want one, right? Just use find. Obviously, we want the last one that forces us to reverse it first. But you can see that Tom's solution is a bit simpler. Square digits. So that was a bit complicated as well. So we have a digit and we want to return the result of squaring it. So 9 will return 81 because 9 multiplied by 1 is 91, right? 1 will return 1, 1 will return 1, and 9 will return 81 again, right? So just looping over the array, transforming, blah, blah, blah. So Tom, ignoring the empty space here, right? So he converts the number to string, and then he creates an array, and then he maps on the array. Yeah, I think that's very elegant. It's very easy to understand. I like what Tom did. And then Marta did the same thing. The main difference is Tom creates multiple variables, and Marta, she's inlining, split, map, and join, which is fine as well. So I think both solutions are really good, really good. And I think Marta's solution is perfect in terms of elegance. Cool. And finally, our numbers are consecutive numbers. So we want to see if all the numbers in the list are consecutive. So 1 plus 1 and 2, 2 plus 1, 3, correct. 4 plus 1, 5, 5 plus 1, 6. So these are not consecutive. So Tom Right. So Tom is clearly failing on indentation, right? All these three lines should be moved to the right to facilitate the reading the exercise. So he's checking if the diff between numbers is 1. If it's 1, what's that?
Pushing into one to the array. So it pushes one to an array and it's
Yeah, but no, I get the point. So the thing is, if the number is consecutive, you push 1. I mean 1, or you could push Tom any times, right? So the 1 is not relevant. And then false. What's false?
just doesn't push.
It doesn't push. Yeah, but you can put whatever. So the reason why I struggle to understand Tom's solution, ignoring the indentation issue, is because he's doing unnecessary things, right? So he's pushing 1, but could push something else. He's returning false, but we are not using that later on. You could just simply do an if, right? I mean, following your strategy, if the diff is 1, then push the result. And also, you can have a variable. Well, let me see what Marta did first. So that Marta, that's interesting. She did something still quite related, but easier to read at the first glance. So numbers.reduce, the same thing. So if it's checking if the numbers are consecutive, she's increasing a counter, starting at 1. So then if the counter is the same as the length of the array, it's because all the numbers are consecutive. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, yeah, that's fine. I'm not going to solve this one. I will personally use a variable, a boolean, are consecutive, true or false. So I will loop over the array, and as soon as one number is not consecutive, I will change the flag to false. That's it. But anyway, don't necessarily better than what you did. So yeah, these solutions are perfectly valid. Cool. I think that's pretty much it regarding intermediate. So any questions? No? Cool. Thank you, guys.